Hello, welcome to ErfDragon Art. Hello, welcome to part 3 of my Frankenstein's monster piece. This is a piece I did in 2016 and I recorded it live on Facebook using the phone aimed at the screen and recorded it that way. Not the best way of doing it, but at the time that's all the technology I had available to me to do a live stream. So let's roll the credits and I'll go into more details about what this project's all about. Let's go. So as I mentioned, this is a drawing I did back in 2016. At the time, both my anatomy skills and my Photoshop skills were not up to the standard they are currently today. Additionally, I was streaming on Facebook Live using my phone aimed at the monitor. So it wasn't the best quality of picture, and at the time I didn't know about any of these streaming platforms such as OBS, StreamYard and all those kind of things. And my computer wasn't quite up to the level where I could even stream that anyway. So in today's video, I've given you a stripped down version of that particular session, session 3, where I'm focusing mainly on the trousers, the stitching, and even the shoes in this particular part. So you get to see some of my thought process as I'm going along. Future projects will not be recorded in this way, and as you've probably already seen on some of my videos. But I've been wanting to share this one for a while, just so you can see where I've come from and what I was doing at the time, and to see how the improvements are going forwards. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll catch you at the end for a closeout. Roll the video. There we go. Right, hello and good evening. I've taken the liberty of putting my camera closer to the drawing this time, because I realised the other few times I've done this, I've not really, I've had a bit of distance and I had to zoom in a bit. So I've tried to make this as clear as I can for this round of streaming. First of all, I just want to thank you for everybody that has been watching. I do appreciate you taking the time to follow along and follow the progress of this particular picture. And I will hopefully finish this Frankenstein's monster today. It really depends on how quickly it's going to get me to do it. Just to recap, this is the picture as it is at the moment. So the last character I've added on here was the mummy on the right hand side. And just to give you a bit of history, just for anyone that is new to watching this, I started off with this original image, which I did in 2012. And you can see in the background I've got quite a few characters. I've got a little spider, the clouds, Dracula, Kraken up the back there. See the Kraken up the back there. We've got the Frankenstein's monster there. Can't remember what this character is. Guy from Exorcist. Few bats on the right here, the mummy which you've seen on the picture there, the screen goes for those who know who that is, the thing or whatever it's called, I can't think what it's called, the hand and the little zombie. I've even got a Harry Potter reference, and if you look really carefully you've got the witch over here and the ship. And what I've basically been doing is doing a number of these different characters and redrawing it and doing it. In fact, there's even a Hellraiser, which I forgot. The Hellraiser box down the bottom there. So just to give you some idea of what I've been working on. Lately, the recent character I've been working on is Frankenstein's monster. It's so tempted to say Frankenstein, but it's not actually Frankenstein, it's Frankenstein's monster. I have to emphasise that because Frankenstein was the doctor that created him. So if you didn't know that, you know that now. And this was my original version, and as you can see, it's very typical image of what Frankenstein would normally look like, with the square head, the boxed feet, and to be quite honest, although it is a traditional character where people think of Frankenstein, the logic of Frankenstein having a box head and boxed feet is kind of silly, because he was basically built out of body parts that are people that were dead before. That's what I understand anyway. So it doesn't really make sense to have him with all the odd shapes. So I thought I'd make him, bring him up to date. So this is the one. This is the version that I finished up with. I know he looks a bit on the Hulk side of it, and that wasn't quite the intention. But I'm kind of happy with how generally this is looking, because I wanted this Frankenstein just to look a bit meaner, a bit like somebody that you'd actually be scared of if you bumped into him. Whereas the original version of Frankenstein isn't really that scary, really, let's be honest. So I wanted to make him a bit more scary. and really try and change the kind of details. One of the biggest things I've changed on this guy was giving him, instead of bolts traditionally on the side of the neck, I've actually made the bolts holding his head. So they're like linked in so that from his shoulders to his head, which I thought was a bit of a nice new idea. And this is where we're at the moment. I was doing some of this yesterday. So yesterday, all I was doing pretty much was just really cleaning up all the different colours, all the different elements of the character, so that when I come to painting the main, all the details and all the shading and everything like that, I've got all the background in there. The only thing we've got to do now is on this guy is the actual mouth area, and then that's this stage of it done. So let's get to that part. So gonna make the mouth visible. So that's what the mouth looks like at the moment. But like I did with the other two, I'm just going to hide everything. In fact, where's the tongue actually? Because the tongue is clearly on another level somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to just zoom in and get this tongue done first. So let's get that one out of the way. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I need to put that on a different layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the colour range. What this does is it selects that one colour, and I can pinpoint that one specific colour. So there you go. So I've now got the whole tongue. I'm going to click Control J. What it does is it copies the whole bit. Control J. And what this now should have done is if I highlight, I don't know how that one. Now I've just got the tongue. So if I remove, rub out this one here. Okay, so now there's no tongue colour on there at all in that area, but the stitches are still there. Okay, so let's go into this. The background of the mouth will need to be done first. This is one of the advantages of doing this in Photoshop or any software, because there's other softwares as well that you can use to paint these things in. Is the advantage is that you can zoom right in close, whereas on a paper you're relying on your eyesight to be able to see all the little nooks and crannies and all the little edges that you may have missed on the original image. But at least with Photoshop, you can actually go right in and see exactly where you need to add extra lines, extra detail. Okay, so that's that part of the mouth done. Now let's go to the tongue, sample that colour. Again, we're going to zoom in a bit further. And this is just to clear some of those edges. I don't know if you can see that there's slight grey areas where the actual original line work is showing through on the picture, and that's what I'm trying to remove. I'm not going to do this technique with all of the characters I'm painting in rather. Just this particular guy, because what I want to, I want to kind of paint him in a slightly different way than the rest, but still trying to keep him blended in with the remainder of the background. I don't have to do that, but I just want to do that so that I just want him to make it look a bit more realistic and show a bit more detail, because he is going to be more in the foreground, so he's going to need a little bit more visibility on the character. Okay, so that's the tongue done. So now the gums, and again it's another separate colour, and the gums are on a layer above the tongue. So when I paint over it, it will hide whatever the tongue has got. So now let's do the top gum. Not Top Gun, not Tom Cruise, Top Gum. But when I do the teeth, you'll see that the teeth will hide it. Teeth, there you go. Teeth are hidden now. And it looks pretty much like the teeth are okay for the most part. I want the gums to kind of show, because it needs to be that they, it needs to blend basically. I know that it won't matter once I remove the lines, but the smoother it looks even now, the better it is in the long term. Right, so that's the mouth coloured in. So that's how he looks at the moment. Okay, so the main point is we've got all, as I say, apart from the bolts, we've got everything in place. So what I'm going to do now is going to start from the bottom and start painting, doing some actual painting of the character. So I'm going to go right down to the shoes. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to select the colour of the shoes and create what's called a layer mask. So by moving this down to blank, you can just, if you can see, you can just see the shoes showing on the screen there. Okay, so it's now got a layer mask. I'm going to expand it a little bit. If you look closely, I don't know if you can see this, but it hasn't quite selected all of that whole colour range there. So I need to expand it so it has the whole colour range. Okay, now here's something, a little trick you can do, is by Alt Delete, it fills in any extra. So now these shoes are completely blocked in, but it's still selected. So what I'm going to do is, if I click on the group and hit the little, I don't know if you can see that, you can't see it on your screen, but there's a little, it looks like a black box with a circle in it, and basically that puts a mask on the actual image. So now, if I was to say paint white, just to give you an example, let's have bright green. It now will only paint in that area. Okay, so what I'm going to do is first of all select this dark colour, zoom out a little bit, not too much because I want to be able to see the shading. Change my brush to a paint brush. What this basically does is it works a bit like a literal paintbrush. It gives it the effect of an actual brush you would use on a canvas or whatever. Okay, so let's zoom in, and what we do now is you'll do what we did before, which is picking between colours and try to blend them together. Right, I think that's probably enough on there. I will add one last colour on it, which is, we'll change the brush to the ink brush. Because what I want to do is, it's frozen on me. Hang on, sorry, is just to get that additional shine on it. I know it's quite a sharp shine, but I'm gonna blur it in, so don't worry about the shine being a bit extreme. Okay, so we now got some nice shiny boots. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is leg, but first of all, I'm going to merge these together, and I'm going to do my favourite burn and thingy tool, just to fine tune it. So select, colour range, there we go, got the belt. Expand the area, so we've got the whole lot, there we go. Go back into the belt. I'm going to make it into a group, call it belt, add the mask, and now we've got a nice belt mask. So I can go in here at my heart's content and put the colours in. As I said, I don't need much, it's just more on the edges really, where there's going to be shade. It's like hidden into the trousers and stuff like that. Not really too much. Okay, I think that's enough on the belt. Okay, so the next thing, ankles, again doesn't need much, but we do need to select that area. But I'm going to do this a different way this time. I want to do the stitches first, because I know that they needed some work on them. Okay, so we come out of this now. There's probably going to be some elements where I'll need to colour it in, but that's okay, because this bit here is where I'll colour it in. Okay, so that's the stitches, although there is that bit of red I need to sort, so let me try and see if I can sort that out. Trousers. So I'm just tweaking the areas I've missed. Okay, so we did some nice clean stitches there. Now there is one thing I do need to do, but I need to do it on the trouser layer, which is to add some level of shade underneath it. So, but I think the stitches are pretty much done. So what I'm going to do is, just to finish it off, I'm going to use do the old dodge and burn thingy. So let's do that. Get that nice and dark. Look at, now you can probably really see the stitches coming out now. Really start to show those coloured edges and shade. Okay, so let's zoom back out. So we've got into this point. Let's save him, and we're going to go into the trousers. So, but what I'm going to do before I do the trousers, I want to bring back the outline, only because there might be creases that I've added in the trouser image. So I want to incorporate that into the painting on it. So we're going to hide that. Trousers. Going to group it first, give it a name, which is trousers, and a new thingamajig. Select the colour range again, which again, as before, selects just that nice solid colour. Going to expand the area by 2, so I've got the whole of the trousers. In fact, I think I probably need to do another 2. Yeah. Let's expand it again. Let's do another 2. I just want to make sure I've got the whole thing. Expand by another 2. And as before, I'm going to click Alt Delete. That's just fill in. Actually, no, it didn't do it so well. Alright, we'll just do that as a mask, because what it did, it gave a bit of an edge, and I don't want to redo the edges. Okay, so we've now got the trouser area all there. So let's start colouring it in. Right, I'm going to go to the ink brush here, because if you look at this closely, there's a lot of dodgy edges, so I'm going to clean up some of these dodgy edges, because otherwise it will just look really, really pants. No pun intended to any Americans watching. Pants in the UK is underwear. For those Americans that are if there are any Americans watching that don't know, that's what pants are in the UK. To be fair, this what I'm doing now is as much practice as it is actually doing a piece of art. I know they shouldn't really be tied together in the same sentence, but because of the time I have, because I do a full-time job, I have to mix the two, because I just don't have the time to just practice. Okay, right. So we've got the trousers done, so now I can think about colouring this in properly. I also want to have a bit more free time to actually really be full on with these kind of drawings. I do enjoy them, but I think it's always good to have the time that you can spend, because there's other things I need to do. I need to do house chores and things like that. It's not always practical, and obviously I've got a full-time job as well. So I do need to make sure I take breaks. I mean, what I probably will do is I probably will just take a break and then come back to this a bit later on tonight, perhaps. All depends on how things go. Alright, so I'm going to go for another layer. This is something I need to be bold with, because I was always a bit wary about doing this, because I'm always a bit wary about doing these big blotches of colour, because I don't want to ruin the picture in any way, shape or form. Let me move those stitches up. I think I need to try to move them further down. Yeah, I'm always worried about doing these big areas, because I don't want to overkill the picture, but that's part of the learning process. Is sometimes you've got to do what you think looks like it's ruining the picture to get the effect that you're trying to achieve. Yeah, I can always remove or erase stuff as well, so it's not unlike drawing, for want of a better word. Is once you've done this, I can still go back and remove, add, take away. Still do a lot of things. I can still adjust it, basically. That's what I'm saying. I mean, although this is very loose colouring here, I think the effect I'm getting there, it seems to be working quite well, I think. Just giving an extra shading where inner the part of the trousers that are hidden by the light are there. I think that's looking quite good actually. I think that seems to be working, that shade. Now, I just need to fix this. I thought this shade here is just a little too intense. I'll just dull it down a bit. This is what I was saying about you can fix. If you know you've done certain bits, you can go back and, you know, retract on it. Now I don't know about you, but I think that looks alright. I actually think that looks quite good. I just need to fix that leg over there. Fairly decent. Now I need a hint of light, but again, I don't want to go too light because at the end of the day, they're not glossy trousers. Okay, so that's that. So let me now merge all these guys together and do the old dodge and burn, and then we'll call that a day. It's coming to 6:30. What's good here is I can add a bit of extra muscle depth as well. It's amazing what this dodge and burn does. It's so surprising. See what I mean? It's making it too shiny. So that's how the trousers are looking. So I think that's looking quite good. But it's starting to take shape now on the character. Obviously, there is still a lot to go through. We'll just see what it looks like with the outline on it. With the outline, it looks like that. But you can see that it doesn't really need the outline on the trousers. The outline doesn't even register because the shade has just taken over. And this is kind of the effect that I'm really trying to go for, is just have this really nice solid shading in the character to make it more like it's been painted on a canvas. So that's it for today. I do thank you very much for watching. I will come back and look at this again later on. So if you do want to join, please do. And thank you very much for watching and spending your time watching me do my artwork. Have a good night. Bye bye. Well, this is the end of part 3 of this particular session. I'm not sure how many there are going to be. I'll have to work that out as we go along. I think it's about 3 or 4 more videos to go. I hope you have enjoyed this one. I will say just one quick thing. Although my skill level wasn't at the standard I have currently, and the quality of the videos aren't as good as they could be, if you stick with this one to the end, you'll see me do some adjustments right at the end of this project to just really enhance this character, and I will use a different technique to both record it but also to recraft it so that he'll look a lot more realistic than he does currently. Well, I do hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up so that other people can enjoy it just as you have. Also, there is a subscribe button and a notification, so if you don't want to miss the next few parts of this particular series, make sure those are turned on so that you can join in when that happens. And also I have a bricks channel as well, so if you're somebody who's into Lego bricks in any capacity, be sure to go and check that out, or some of my other channels in the list down below. Lastly, I do want to improve the quality of this channel by getting some better equipment, whether it be a computer, lighting, you name it. And so I've signed up to a company called buymeacoffee.com. So if you want to donate to help support the channel in that way, feel free to do so. There's no obligation to it. Just the fact you're here watching is more than sufficient for me. But I would appreciate that, and anything that I will use will go back into the channel to make sure I make some improvements so I can make this even better for you and hopefully more enjoyable. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Have a great day, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye now.